its weakest. So you could not, it was not possible to get the best price for it at that point in time, because these are some of the circumstances. And if it was a different country, these people could never run for public office again. So let's hope that going forward, we are going to, our people are finally going to realize some benefits from it, from this repurchase agreement. Brother John, you want to come in here on something? Brother John, you want to come in here? Oh man, yes, there you go. You want to come in here? I know there must be an intervention from you. Put your mic on, Brother John.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you now.
Yeah, I was just
concerned. Yeah, we got you.
Good afternoon again, Senator Matthew Joseph. Again,
good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us again, a second time around. No, you don't ask for the keys, you just walk in, right? That's not happen. You don't call Pablo and say, can I come over? SGU. It seems that 5%. How do we escape that? That what I call a second economy, the SGU economy. How do we explain that to the Ghanaian people?
Well, the government again is going to manipulate. They're going to manipulate. But let me tell you something. I am very, very concerned about the importance and of SGU within our economy. I'm very, very concerned about it. Let me tell you something, John. Now, I told them in the parliament, and they could listen to the tape. We have an agreement with SGU to do certain things. What happens if SGU does not hold to their part of the agreement? Somebody said I was hypothetical because they are a professional organization. I know that. But what happens, bearing in mind that they understand that they contribute over 25% of GDP. They control, I'm using control, quote unquote, control the economy of the south of the country. No, they are American, that's an American company. What if a situation develops and they say, look, I'm not holding to this end of my bargain. I'm not recognizing your quote system because your quote is a kangaroo quote. I'm not going to recognize it. What are we going to do? Are we going to close them down? Are we going to tell them pack up and go? No. So we're in a situation here where we are in a bind. And as time progresses, SGU is becoming more and more significant to the economy.
Okay.
Because we have the rural economy, it keeps dying. So the focus is SGU and the real estate development on the periphery of SGU with the hope that you can receive some rent monies. And the government is blind to that reality. I said to them in the parliament, what happens if SGU becomes like 50% of GDP? We are heading in that direction.
Talking about that, the 50%, I learned recently that they have sold over to there's a new owner, and also that TAMCC is also become part of the SGU. How true, if that is true, how that would affect, continue what you're saying, affect our local economy going into the 50%?
Yeah, well, I've been hearing this thing, but I don't want to confirm it because I even deny it because I really don't know. But it's possible what we are hearing, but I think we need to just wait and see how things will pan out. But Grenada is a place sometimes things are happening and only the end result, the process, sometimes you don't hear anything during the process. Yeah, but I don't know what relationship they are talking about. I don't know if it's developing curriculum or developing extending the programs in at the college. I don't know. But let us wait and see. But SGU is become what? Listen, John, who pays the piper calls the tune. We have to be careful. We have to be careful.
So, so if that trend continues into the new administration, the Senate, where a number of things have been tabled and take place and stuff like that, how would that change the outcome of the functionality of SGU?
You see, as a senator, sometimes you have to be very, very careful and sometimes not irresponsible, but just being very careful. I don't know if we saw the Prime Minister and I think it's the Chancellor of the University, Modica, in an interview recently. When has this or something like this happened before? You know, just think about it. Don't answer. Just think about it. I am getting concerned. I am getting concerned. You see, as one area, one sector of the economy becomes weak, we tend to gravitate towards the other one. Rather than helping the one that is getting weak to strengthen, we tend to be gravitating to the other one, not realizing by doing that, we are further weakening the one that's already weak.
Right.
John, we're in a tragic situation in this country, you know, and people don't seem to. Well, let me just tell you this from the GCNA point of view. Right now, the nutmeg price is not as we would like it on the international market. But if we had volume, it was going to make a big difference because Grenadian nutmeg is still in demand. Right now, in fact, I was at a board meeting last Thursday. Every nutmeg on the tree is already sold. Somebody might say, well, if the nutmeg is in such demand, why not demand higher prices? But it doesn't work like that. It's a commodity, and it goes on the, it's trading and so on. But that sector is so critical, and yet the government seems to be neglecting it. Oh, no, not neglecting it. They want it. They want it. And probably we could touch on that if we find the time. You see, I'm going to tell you, if we have volume, we could sell some, hold back some, and bargain. But when you don't have volume, the farmer's on your back for the money immediately. So then you tend to have to sell rather than holding and bagging because you don't have the volume. And the volume is there. It's out there because we anticipate and we estimate 500,000 pounds of nutmeg probably go to waste every year. And one of the reasons, as I mentioned earlier on, Pablo, is that access rules. Since Ivan, some of the rules, the government just turned back on it. You know? So the SGO thing is something that we need to watch closely.
All right.
We need to watch that relationship, yeah.
You made mention about servicing of debt to $361 million.
That was in 2021.
Yeah.
2022, I think it's 400.
Right. So, because of the government, based on the budget you're talking about here, they're granting the budget. What is a granted budget? Now, we know, and I've been around NGOs for a while. If something happened in that country, for example, in the Middle East, somewhere where grants might be coming from, something upturn or downturn in the economy that doesn't facilitate the people who funding those stuff, what will become of the green economy? Because right now, then you don't have no money at all whatsoever to function.
Exactly, and that's the point I was making. Grant is hope, is guesswork. This is what we expect to collect. We're hoping to collect based on the goodwill of somebody. And that's the money we are saying we're going to put a whole lot of it into the productive sector. Now, if this money doesn't come, where would you get money to do capital investment? Because some of the capital investment is dependent on finding those grants. And as you rightly say, if an economy outside it has a shock, then we lose that grant funding. You see, we lose, and the politicians, they know that, you know. They know that too well, but they're just trying to play with people's head, and sadly they're getting through.
The capital investment monies, right? The $175.4 million in grant. Do you think that some of that money is, I mean, let's ask throwing that on gradient answer. I assume for a second, up to now we haven't gotten a clear picture answer as to where that money came from for WRB. Yeah? And then we couldn't pay teachers the 4%, but we find $14 million for debushing. Yes? Which could have very well be used in another sector. I say that the people doing debushing don't need a food. I need to feed their family. But couldn't that go into a different sector to develop the country long term?
Yes, because what we need is sustained investment.
Yes.
What I mean is that you invest that can bring returns later on. But the money just seems to be, the government just seems to be pushing money into certain areas that sometimes I say certain areas that look romantic, that can sell them. You know, as you mentioned the bushing, let me just take a pin on the bushing.
Yes.
Now, and I said it in the parliament, the government make people believe that the bushing is an NMP thing. And if NMP is out of office, the roads wouldn't work. So they're scared that they wouldn't get 10 days on the road because it's an NMP thing. And if NMP goes, then the bushing goes. But we used to call them travel in those days. The road must work.
Must work.
Must work.
Yes.
Any government, the road must work. And also concerning the bushing. Yeah, Joe. The government says, I'm giving you a contract. We have contractors in the bushing. But all the workers you are given, the government gives you the workers. They give you a list of all the workers they want in your gang. So I was saying to the parliament, it's not contract, you are a foreman, and understand that. They give you a gang, and they make you the foreman. If it's contract labor, you as the contractor select your best workers or whoever you want to do the job for you. But they give you from a political list
that they have.
They draw it down from a political list, and this is what happens. This is what happens. And if the bushing create laziness in the country, how could somebody, well, we call it 3 for 10 now. I don't know if you heard that term before.
3 for 10?
10 days, yeah, 10 days, but you finish in 3.
Wow.
You know, how you could finish 3 days, 10 days work in 3 days. Whether you could have tractor, you could have what? That's supposed to happen. You know, because, and let me just give you one other example before you come on. Where I live in the village of Florida. There's a road called Snake Road that leads into Florida. We call it Snake Road because it's winding. When the contract started back in a few years ago, from the bottom of Snake Road to by the Florida playing field was one contract. And the guys used to do it in about 8 days. Now the government cut it into 3 contracts. Just imagine that. So it is now 3 contracts where one set of people used to be doing that entire road as one contract, so to speak. So you see what I'm saying? This thing is just
wow.
You know? Yeah.
Before we return to Pablo here, I was kind of concerned a little bit of the thing that something you said about make the Senate in the Senate. When you were speaking and concern was raised, it seems as though the ruling senators on the ruling side, the government senators, are not taking the opposition senators seriously in presenting their cases and questioning and so on. How do we fix our addresses? Is there any protocol in the Senate that should disallow such behaviors to disrespect?
Yes. We have a little book here called the standing orders for the Senate, and everything is in black and white. But some people choosing a certain degree of flexibility that probably pushes it a little bit. Now, maybe I should come back to it. Now I am speaking, and Senator Gawe is consistently grumbling, making comments, and disturbing. And you know, sometimes you're into a flow and you're into a trend of thought, and somebody distracts you, and it throws you off a little bit.
Yes.
And he continues, but the people on television, they're not seeing it because he's sitting on himself and the focus is on the person speaking. So then I got mad and I said, man, you just shut your mouth. Then the deputy president says, I should not address Senator Gawi. I should address him through the chair. But he was interrupting me, and the person sitting on the chair heard him and saw him and was not saying anything.
You remember for a moment in Morris in 1976, 77, when you tell the speaker to shut up?
Yeah. And there was a time when, again, he said that is Senator Steele, and the tape is there. You, Senator Joseph, and he's pointing at me in a very arrogant manner. That's the day when we left the and then he said, and you, Senator McQueen, I don't know where to start with you. No, he's not supposed to be doing that.
He's not supposed to be doing that, yes.
He should be addressing us with the permission through the speaker.
Yes.
When I say the speaker, I mean the president. And that is the protocol. That's the protocol. And John, as we on the Senate, let me just chime in here on this. No, you bring in a motion, you file a motion, whatever the topic is. Now, the government side takes the motion because they have it before we meet. They study it, and they come with some amendments to the motion, serious amendments that change the substance and the depth of your motion. And they move that someone second the amendment. Somebody on their side will second the amendment. Now we have to go into the debate on the amendment. We never saw the amendment before.
So, so in that case, shouldn't the opposition either one walk out of it, ask for more time to study?
Well, we discussed it recently, and we are going to ask that any amendment before the two of us within reasonable time, right? So that we could study the amendment. So the amendment comes on the table. The government side is fully aware of what the amendments are. We scrambling on the other side to put something together. And then you put it to a vote and the government side has the numbers.
Right.
So then you're virtually wasting time.
I want to make a good thing here because Pablo knows me about when I talk about reasonable time and ASAPs,
Yeah.
I believe in date and time. If you have it, and
yes.
3 weeks.
Well, I just use reasonable time, but we need if it's 10 working days, if it's 10 working days or 2 weeks, yes, we have to be specific.
Yes.
Because we know what Deacon did with reasonable time, right?
Yes, reasonable time. It will work. Another thing, final thing, I think Green and Public probably aware of it. The borrow and spend economy. The other thing about it is the no vision, no plans, and you have a government continue to function over the last 10 years without a vision. What are the hopeful things that you're looking for when we change in the coming years?
Well, the new government will have to sit down. Well, it should be sitting down right now. And when I say the opposition, that's the NDC. They should be sitting down right now and devising a plan. And it should not be anything hypothetical. It should be very practical. And that plan, that vision, should be laid in the manifesto. You see, the problem with Grenada is that election campaigns are not run on manifesto because people generally don't listen to manifesto. They listen to hype and old talk. But everything should be clearly outlined. We have to recalibrate and we have to refocus. And we must, Mr. Kellis, we must go back to the rural economy. We must invest back seriously into agriculture. And as I mentioned, the rural economy, the government said that unemployment is down, people are happy, everything is nice, and so on. But look at what the budget says. The budget says we are going to increase the seed to what we call the poor relief by 150%, by $150. Every aspect of the social program is increased. Why you increasing social programs when the country is doing well? What you should be doing is decreasing because more and more people are becoming independent.
Right.
more and more people are moving out of poverty. But,
coming from me as a senator, I want to tell the Ghanaian people exactly the true nature of
break up badly there.
Yeah. Okay.
Were you hearing him, brother?
Yeah,
Were you hearing him clearly, brother?
yes, I
John?
was saying a little break up, but
Yeah,
I was making sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll hear him. The true picture of our unemployment situation in Grenada as it is at present. What's the present percentage rate? Was unemployment in the Grenada context?
Well, I asked that question when I was making my presentation on the budget. No, I don't buy these numbers that are flinging around and throwing around. Let us look at it in a practical sense. Let's look at it from 2013. No, on average, we have about 2,000 people leaving school every year, coming on the job market, right?
Yeah.
Now, do that over 8 years. And let's see how many people, we are talking about CC, SGU, the people who don't go on to CC, the Form 5, those who finish school at Form 5 and so on. So you have approximately 2,000 people leaving school or whatever institution. Now, where are these jobs created to absorb these people? Where? We are hearing about 18% and below 20% employment. But do we have 20% employment or 20% are the people looking for jobs? What exactly are the indicators that we use to come up with that number? But the bottom line is unemployment is extremely high in this country. It's extremely high, and it's reflected by the seed program. It's reflected. So I'm saying to the Grenadian people, just open your eyes. Just look around. Tell me where the people are working. And when Silver Sands were being built, there was a hype about Silver Sands. Some people thought Silver Sands was going to employ everybody in this country. They were so happy that Silver Sands was here. And what happens? How many people have been employed now? Somebody needs to check the NIS and see how many people are permanently employed at Silver Sands. And I'm sure it's not many. And the construction jobs. Now, again, the government, they turn things around and they speak on both sides of the mouth. You have a construction crew, let's say on Silver Sands, and that project is finished. You have another project starts with another, let's say 200 jobs. But the same set of people gone over to the other side. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's the same 200 that was working at Silver Sands, the same 200 that's on the other project.
So
and this is what happens. It doesn't change. So the unemployment situation does not change.
According to Black, the model change, model remain the same.
Yeah, and then we just playing the fool with this Imani thing. I refer to the Imani as a headless chicken, right? Yeah, they're jumping all over the place. They don't know what they're doing. At one time they were trainees, then they are contract workers, and they are all kind of name. And as I said, they're playing it by air. And guess what? The government has all operates. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Speaking about contract workers, we see that recently one of the leaders of the union, and they say the meeting went for over 2 hours, and they are looking to see what can be done with those prolonged or permanent acting situations, with people in those government functions. And immediately, what comes to many people's mind is the fact that in the run-up to the elections, there was this conversations about this memorandum of understanding and all that went with it. And we see what happened afterwards. And we did hear union leaders lamenting in the Senate about this election caviar that is served up every time right now could be another indicator of another election caveat to the workers.
Yeah, well, I think by now people should understand what happens in terms of what comes out of the prime minister's mouth. Now, when you go back a few years, he always looked for a punchline and certain things to try to satisfy people at the moment. One time it was job you want is job you won't get, right? And that fell through. Then investors were climbing on top of each other. And we're looking for them, they can't come. Then the oil, right? I remember that shout in Simoon.
Yeah.
The oil, I believed it too. I believe it. Honestly, I said, boy, that's a good thing. But I was always thinking about the Nigerian situation. In any case, I thought it was a good thing. So he got me there because I couldn't believe a man would just come up there and say something and then sometime after says, well, circumstance change, this, that, and no oil anymore. And this one with the pension, I know that's what you're talking about. Probably didn't mention pension. He said that the deal was done. The deal was done. Government pension will be restored. And after the election, look, my wife will be retiring soon. Right? She'll be retiring soon. And right now, she's in limbo. She doesn't know what is going to happen. And here we are hearing now, last week or whenever, they are discussing the issue of contract workers. If there is a vacancy, there is a vacancy, Pablo. There's a vacancy to make the people permanent. Listen, when I started to teach, I was on 2 years probation. 2 years probation. After the probationary period, I was evaluated. I got a good write-up. And I was made permanent because there was a permanent position. The point I'm making, if there are no permanent positions, then what positions are these people working in? Who holds the permanent position? And if somebody already holds the permanent position, why have these people there? And paying them for doing something that somebody else should be doing. It does not make any sense to me. You understand? It's either you have work or you don't have work. You have a job or you don't have a job. You see, but the problem here is the headless chicken again, the Imani. You take people with no plan, with no exit procedure, a process, and they just keep going on and on and on. Watch. I taught at the St. John's Irish School for a number of years. And one Friday evening, I said to somebody, Imani, people there, I said, listen, I love you all, But let me tell you all something, quite frankly. I will eat with you all today, drink with you all today, and you're all not coming back here on Monday. I'll be letting you all go. And they were saying, well, you're heartless. I said, no. What are your qualifications? You have people in a school with 1 CXC and 0 CXC. You understand what I'm saying? No prerequisite in terms of getting into the system. But you put them there and then you run into problems later on because you have no exit plan. So they are talking now, they spoke some time ago, and what was said is that, we're going to see what we could do to get this amount into this thing again is gimmick. I don't bite.
They're still talking about that. I thought the Prime Minister said since when Ron Redhead and Kieran Redhead and Kieran James was still senators, they said there was going to be an exit strategy. So what's become of that? That exit strategy hasn't been identified as yet. But in any event, let's just move on because we're coming to a close of this afternoon's conversation. Commodity boards. People are concerned about the commodity boards, and we've been hearing talk emerging again about the merger of the commodity boards. And one of the questions being asked is, what are the pros and cons of the merging of the commodity boards?
Now the question is, why you want to merge them? Why? And folks don't understand that on both commodity boards, the government has 3 directors. 3 directors. 3 on GCNA, 3 on the cocoa. 3 out of 9.
Okay.
3 directors. So when people bashing the boards, they have to understand that the government has 3 directors and they provide oversight because they are connected and linked directly to the permanent secretary in agriculture, who is linked to the minister. So when they are bashing and say GCNA is not doing well, or Cocoa Association is not doing well, then who not doing well? Obviously, government is not doing well. Because every board meeting, the minister should be briefed as to policy direction and the financial status. It should be briefed. So they are fully aware of what has been happening in GCNA from 1947, because that's what the ordinance says. So when you hear people, politicians saying GCNA is this and GCNA not doing this, this is absolute rubbish. What we need, we don't need merger. What we need between the 2 associations are functional cooperation. This is what we need. There are areas we could collaborate and strengthen. No, the government is not really interested in merger. They're interested in liberalization. They're talking merger, but they're interested in liberalization. And let me read something to you. We expect the merger of the associations and liberalization of the sector to lead to better prices for cocoa and nutmeg farmers, while allowing them a chance of ownership. Now, hear what they're saying. They expect that liberalization will lead to better price. How on earth is this going to happen? Tell me. When I get a license, to export nutmegs. Then whatever profit or proceeds from my export is mine. Is mine. Let us look at a worst case scenario. And this is something that's very, very dear to me because I don't want to see it collapse. I have a lot of nutmegs. Now, if the government merges and liberalizes and starts granting license to people to export nutmegs, I don't know what quota they're going to give them. Now, the buyers out there will go into panic because they buy sometimes 6 months down the road. They will be concerned about the supply. Now, if they are concerned and they have doubts about the supply, they're going to look elsewhere. So the GCNA could collapse, and the GCNA in one day, they could collapse. They could collapse. Now, if GCNA cannot sell sufficiently to pay the mortgage on the project down at Lagoon Road, the mortgage is about $118,000 per month. Right? Because of losses, about $118,000 a month. Yeah, approximately $118,000 per month, right? So you have to find that money through sales and through rent collections and so on. But I must say you're collecting more than $118,000 for rent right now. So what happens if you cannot, something goes wrong and you cannot pay that mortgage? Then the bank is going to take the property. The bank is going to take the property. So we are going down a very dangerous road. Then secondly, the government is saying merger, and they're holding back on the word liberalization. The farmers are saying, hey, you have the authority, you could dissolve the board, you could farm your own board, you have the authority under the law. But let us deal with the assets of the association. Let us get shares. So some nutmeg farmers are cocoa farmers, but not every nutmeg farmer is a cocoa farmer, or every cocoa farmer is a nutmeg farmer. So we can't say, let's put it in one bundle and everybody equal. No. So the farmers are saying, let us deal, first of all, with the capitalization. Let people have shares. The government is reluctant on that one. You don't hear them talking much about this. Peter was saying something some time ago, but they're not serious. Because once the government have shares, once the people have shares, because right now, GCNA doesn't belong to anybody yet, the government could just take it. Right now. Yeah. You have no title in terms of, you don't have a certificate to show that you are owner of GCNA. You don't have that. Okay. So if the government gives, the farmers get shares, then the dynamics change a bit. The dynamics will change. And the government is not interested in that. But I honestly believe that the government is under pressure to do that. Under pressure to do that.
Under pressure from whom, may I ask?
I don't know. I really don't want to say. Now, I have a note here that came from a document that was developed by Campeche International.
Okay.
And it says that as part of the structural adjustment of 2014-2017, government of Grenada committed to liberalization of the nutmeg, cocoa, and electricity sectors. You understand? Government of Grenada committed to liberalization. So if they're committed to liberalization, we understand. We understand. You see? So I always believe that anything like, as you know, as such, there should be discussion. And the discussions must be from the bottom up. The bottom up. Let me just continue, because this one, you kind of touch a little area here that is in me. The government draft a new ordinance called the Nutmeg and Cocoa Industry Bill. You can see it, right?
Yeah.
Cocoa and Industry
Yeah.
Bill. Now, in that draft, this one is a draft. The minister name is mentioned over 50 times in that draft. The minister has the right and the authority under that draft to appoint all the directors. Hear that, you know, all the directors. Now the minister appoints 3. Has the authority under this draft. But I said it's a draft, right? So the farmers got mad and said, no way. I was at a meeting. So the government came up with a second draft. And they reduced the powers in that second draft. The farmers, they came up with a third draft. So it seems that they're playing Russian roulette, right? They come up with a third draft. But what they are trying to do is to pacify the farmers. Because the government could come up with a draft that the farmers really like. And they say, okay, we go vote on it in parliament and we go pass it as law. And 1 month after, with the numbers that you have in parliament, you go back to the first draft. Because your first draft is your statement of intent. What happened if nobody objected to your first draft? It was going to be law. It was going to be law. And these are serious issues. These are serious, serious issues. And the government tend to be arguing, well, instead of having 2 managers, you're going to have 1 manager. One person cannot run GCNA and GCA. They will die. They will die because of the pressures. So you need, if you have 1 manager, you need sub-managers here, and sub-managers, it doesn't mean a reducing costs. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. So it's a hell of a situation we are in, but the government's in hell-bent on merging and liberalizing the industry. And if this industry collapses, it's trouble in this country. Trouble in this country. A poor man said to me, I never knew I was so poor until COVID. That is when he could not sell nutmegs. That is when he could not sell nutmegs. He didn't realize. And as I said, it's just an ordinary, I'm using the word poor loosely here, you know, because you can't be poor if you have nutmegs to sell, somebody might argue. But his income was limited. And he said he did not know he was so poor until COVID, when he could not sell a pound of nutmeg. Just think about a situation where the Nutmeg Association collapses. What happens to the rural economy? What happens? You know.
Speaking about the rural economy, you've brought me right to where I want to bring the curtains down. The rural economy, because what you're speaking about, we know how significant agriculture and fisheries are to the rural economy. That's the mainstay of the rural economy. What do you see as required? What would you say are some required steps in order to get our rural economy on a more sound and sustainable footing?
Well, Pablo, I think, honestly, we need to organize a little more at the grassroots level. I think we need to have a farmers association that incorporates all the farmers, have that farmers association that can help to direct and probably even motivate, because we're not getting the direction from the government. So we need to do that. I also think the fishermen, they are very, very important sector. They form a very important sector. In fact, fish export was fairly good last year, that's 2021. And the fishes are out there. And again, I think the fishermen need to organize and have a stronger association. And also, the same fishermen should be part of the association of farmers I'm speaking about, because we put all into one sort of overall heading. Yeah, but I think we need to organize and come together. And when you come together, there's always strength in numbers, right? We could demand certain things from the government. And you see, the government sees votes. So when they see numbers and they think votes, we might be able to get more done doing it that way. But being on our own and being sort of loose, it creates opportunities for the vultures to prey on us. And this is what has been happening over the years. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But in addition to that, I'm hopeful. I am hopeful. I have seen situations where I thought GCNA was going to go bust. At one time, there were only just a little over 500 persons selling nutmegs. The price was really stressed, and there was no encouragement, no motivation. So a number of people are leaving the sector. And by the hand of God, I think, the price of nutmeg on the world market started to climb. And it climbed to as much as 24,000 US dollars a ton. The bad thing is that we didn't have the volume to make a whole lot of money. At the time, we just didn't have, that was after Ivan. And what happened? We were able to raise the price up to $5 per pound. And we jumped from just between 500 and 600 to over 3,000 people selling nutmegs. So I'm always hopeful that the industry will survive, because it's the humble, simple people out there who really live by the nutmeg. And the hand of faith, I think, will always be stretched out to help those persons.
You mentioned the issue of volume before, and I want to just touch on that before we close. The issue of volume. How does our present volume compare to our pre-Ivan volume? And what is required for us to get back to these pre-Ivan levels of production? And why is it Ivan took place in 2004? That's 18 years gone already. Why is it that we haven't had a very significant and cohesive approach towards addressing that issue?
Now, I want to just point you to a document here. And John, you could just watch it. No. Right?
Greater
Nutmeg
development
strategy.
Yeah.
No, this is very clinical. It's a very clinical document. But what has happened to the implementation of it? What has happened? The government is a main stakeholder and a driver of the plan. And ask any one of them in government, where are we with that plan?
When was that document produced?
It's post-Ivan. It was post-Ivan. Right? It was post-Ivan. There was, I think in the plan, it was broken down in periods, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever it is. And based on that plan, by the year 2020, Grenada should be very close to the pre-Ivan levels in terms of production. Well, what has happened over the period? The extension department has almost closed down. So the outreach from the ministry to the farmers are virtually non-existent. So where we are right now, we are way below the pre-Ivan. Remember, before Ivan, we had about 7,000 persons selling nutmegs. Well, you know, a number of them have died, grown old, and we know what happens to the younger generation. So now we are about 3,600 persons selling right now, but it's still a substantial number. And if we do things a little differently, we could increase the production in such a way that you don't feel the effect of the farmers who have dropped off or who have died. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are far below the pre-Ivan level, but we can't get it because, you know, the land is still there. The land is still there.
No, the land is still there.
The acreage.
The acreage is, we need to get
Still there.
the acreage back into production. Okay.
Yeah.
So any final words before we close for this afternoon, Senator Joseph?
Yeah, I just want to say to the people listening, especially the Grenadians listening, let us demand more of the politicians. Let us have them in town halls where we could question them, where we can discuss issues of relevance, where we can discuss issues that could uplift our lives and uplift and move the country forward. Presently, John and Pablo, if we remove the passport sale from Grenada, we remove the SGU, we remove the donations from the Chinese, what do we have to show? St. Vincent don't have a passport program. They don't have a SGU, but they are surviving. Some people might say they have a underground economy. I don't know about that, but they are surviving. And we have to look at these things. So we need to demand, as I say, much more of from the politicians and hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. We have to bring back some morality into the society. And we need leadership. We need leadership. That's how I know it. Maybe I come from the old school, but there's 1 and 1 is still 2. It does not change. There are some basic and fundamental principles that our society was built on. We are losing our way. Lying and being political correct, and in most time, political correctness is a lie. In most cases. You know, I said,
wow.
Yeah, we call it a smart lie, political correctness. What is political correctness? It is politically correct to say something that is not true. So these are the things we don't want. We don't want political correctness. We want correctness. This is what we want. I might sound as somebody in the wilderness. Maybe I am. But maybe I'm speaking from utopian setup. But that's the way. That's the way I see it. I have 3 grandchildren, and I don't want them to have to migrate. I didn't migrate. I don't want them to have to migrate. So we need to engage the politicians, understand the plan. When people graduate from university, what are they going to do with the degrees? Are they going to sit and wait? What is happening in the schools? We need to engage them. Why is it that we only, in the agriculture science program, we don't teach 3 crops? We focus on cabbage, carrots, tomato. When you ask the average child in Grenada, what is the spacing for nutmegs? They don't know. How long a nutmeg tree takes to bear? They don't know. And these are things that we have to, these are directions that we have to go. But we need to engage them and let them know exactly how we feel about certain things. We cannot allow things to slip. The snowball is rolling down the hill. As it goes faster, it gets bigger and it becomes much more dangerous. Enough, I think, is enough from some of these politicians. I think they have run out of lies, and the Grenadian people have to sit up. Have to sit up. Not sit down, sit up and really smell the coffee. So I just want to wish that all who listen to this program, they can leave the program with something that they didn't have when they started to listen to the program. Yeah.
I trust that that would have been the outcome we have accomplished here this afternoon, because as Brother John says, one of the mantra coming from the Gemfm platform is education is liberation. It's about liberating your minds, making you more edified about issues. And as you rightly mentioned, Senator Joseph, the whole issue of we need to get back to those fundamentals in terms of the way we treat with our politicians and not just give our politicians a free pass, because as one would notice that with the coming of Deacon Mitchell as the leader of the NDC, he has been speaking about the issues, the need to hold the politicians responsible, the approach that he would take if he was to be the leader of the country, the kind of conversations that you would find taking place in the parliament of the country, rather than what now passes for parliamentary discourse. And the other thing too, you mentioned about the whole issue of town hall meetings. Well, I can tell you that there's going to be one this coming Thursday at the Bonnet Government School, and the leader of the NDC will be doing a presentation there. The theme of that town hall meeting is a partnership of the people and the politician. Yes. So the theme of that town hall meeting is going to be a partnership of the people and the politician. So it starts at 7 p.m. at the Bonnet Government School. And as I said, the political leader will be the main presenter. There will be a presentation from the recently ordained candidate for the constituency of St. Mark, Queen's Britain. So he too will be laying out what his position is as the candidate, the kind of partnership that he is looking to establish with the people of the constituency of St. Mark. So this is this coming Thursday at the Bonnet Government School. It will be streamed live on Facebook and so on. So don't miss it. And this is where we bring a close on this afternoon's T-Tap show with Pablo. It is all about time, things, and people. The T-Tap show. Saturday afternoons right here on Gemfm from 3:30 p.m. Don't miss it. Thank you, Brother John, and thank you to all our listeners, all our viewers. Thank you once again to Senator Matthew Joseph for taking time off to be with us. All the best. Have a wonderful and productive week.
Thank you very much, and same to you. Bye.
Again, thank you very much, Senator. Again, looking forward to see you in the future right here on Gemfm. I know Pablo will be happy to have you back sometime. Well, just before election, right after election, to have you back here again. And I really did enjoy your evening here with us. And very informative. One of our listeners, Yulen saying, very informative program today. Again, as always, we try to bring the best. We don't believe in merely politics, we believe in real politics. We want to get real information and educate our society that they can make informed decisions, and intelligent one too. So again, thank you very much for your contribution today, and looking forward to bigger and better things in the future. God bless you.
Thank you very much, and have a pleasant evening to you both. Bye.
All right. Pablo going to try to go already. Is Pablo. All right, folks. Again, you've been listening to the Tip Top Show with Pablo. It happens here our time, North American time, 2:30 p.m. So again, I want to thank each and one of our listeners for being here with us. At top of the hour, 5 o'clock, would be the marriage show. Yes, marriage seminar virtually happening right here again on Gemfm this evening, and looking forward to have you being part of that. Again, this show this afternoon was brought to you by Cookies Pastry Delight in the heart of Grenville. That's right on Ben Jones Street in the parish of St. Andrews. So please go out there and check them out and let them know you heard it here on GMFM. All right. Coming up again this afternoon, as I said, it is and would be the marriage seminar coming up right here on Gemfm, the Marriage Enhancement Show, right at 5 o'clock right here on Gemfm. So please stay around, don't go too far away from us. We'll be joining them shortly to get ready for this marriage relationship enhancement seminar today at 5 p.m. right here with Pastor Douglas Gibson, a show sponsored by Gemfm and Stepping Out in Christ Radio. All right, one love, my people. God bless you and make you a blessing. As we, Black History Month, I just want to play a song as it will go out of here. Where's my song? I think I lost my song. That's okay. I lost my song. I will just play this other one for you as we get out of here. All right?
Name of the song, Born to Survive. A good selection. So sit back, relax, and let us bring on stage Winston Peters, better known as Gemfm. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. What can be worse than a 10-year-old on the cold beach of my arrow? With just the surf and the sand, a dream and a plan, and no promise of tomorrow. Hungry belly cry, trouble wave bye-bye, and at that age, you think life is cold. But there is no way to know, cause it never would show. It's all for this dungeon called the world. But I'm a born survivor. Yes, I can smile through all my adversities and just laugh when the guns are trained at me, taking life one day at a time. Cause I'm sure as the night must bring the dawn, this life of mine would still go on. And don't mind how they connive, spin their web of strife. I'm staying alive. I'm born to survive. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There have been times gone by when I watch mama cry and I know daddy hurt inside. Though he worked like a man, did all that he can, but somehow he just couldn't provide all the things that we need, but somehow we succeed, and those were real trying times indeed. But then I couldn't understand that that was part of the plan that would make me a much stronger man. I'm just a born survivor. Yes, I can smile through all my adversities and just laugh when the guns are trained at me, cause I'm taking life one day at a time. Cause I'm sure as the night must bring the dawn, this life of mine would still go on. And don't mind how they connive, spin their web of strife. I'm staying alive, watch me, I'm just born to survive. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, I've worked to the bone, felt so all alone in places I didn't know too well. Abuse and misuse, that was nothing I chose. Sure, those conditions felt like hell. But hard work do pay, now things are not that way. But success do breeds envy indeed. And although I've done no wrong, You should hear evil tongue walking with envy to bring me down. Go on, I'm just a born. I'm a born survivor, yes. I can smile through all my adversities. Brother, I laugh when your guns are trained at me, cause I'm taking my life one day at a time. Cause I'm sure as the night must bring the dawn, this life of mine will still go on. And don't mind how they connive, spin their web of strife. I'm just staying alive. I was born to survive. Yes. Yes, I cannot hide. It hurts down inside, cause there's blood running through my veins. And when the things people say sure gets in your way and there's no truth, it causes you pain. And when the good that you do just never shine through, you wear a smile and you do some more. Cause although hate knows no bound, but love makes you strong, and for your good, your reward is sure. And I'm a born, I'm just a born, I'm a born survivor now. I can smile through all my adversities. I'll just laugh when the guns are trained at me. I'm taking my life one day at a time. Cause I'm sure as the night is going to bring the dawn, this life of mine will still go on. And don't mind how they connive, spin their web of strife. I'm staying alive. I was born to survive. Yes, I was born. Said I was born to survive. Yes, I was born. I was born to survive. Yes, I was born. Said I was born to survive. Yes, I was born. I was born to survive.